We have hybrid cars, hybrid SUVs, and now we finally have a hybrid pickup truck. But this Ford F-150 PowerBoost Hybrid is not the first hybrid pickup truck that has been available to market. That honor actually goes to GMC Sierra and Chevrolet Silverado back in the 2000s. If you could even call those hybrids, because all that the hybrid powertrain did for that was help it with the auto start-stop system and maybe 10% fuel savings. This F-150 though is very different. So let's go for a drive and find out how different it actually is. Under the hood of the new Ford F-150 is a 3.5-liter turbocharged V6 engine and EcoBoost. But what makes this one so different is the integration of an electric motor into the transmission. Total system output is 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque. Apart from the Raptor engine, this is the next most powerful engine that you can get in an F-150. And best of all, you can have this engine in any trim level, so long as it's with the crew cab configuration. In terms of outright performance, this hybrid V6 has plenty of gusto. Even though this truck weighs 2.5 tons, as soon as you put your foot down and the transmission downshifts, you are really going. But the other part of the equation is fuel efficiency. This hybrid V6 is rated for 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 9.7 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway, and that's with the 4x4 system. If you get it with just 4x2, then the fuel economy numbers are a little bit better. During my time with the F-150, I averaged an overall fuel economy rating of around 10.3 liters per 100 kilometers. But on a few of my shorter trips, I noticed that I could average as low as 9 liters per 100 kilometers if I was gentle on the throttle and wasn't using the climate control. So this electric motor only has 47 horsepower and 70 pound-feet of torque, and getting 2.5 tons of truck off the line is very difficult. You can do it, but it'll have to be very, very slow acceleration. So much so that I'm pretty sure if you do try it on the streets, you're gonna have quite a few angry people behind you. Most of the time, you'll be accelerating from a stop using the gasoline engine, with the electric motor aiding just a bit. It's only when you're at a cruising speed that the electric motor will take over for the gasoline engine. It tends not to do it as often at highway speeds, but more so when cruising between stoplights at city speeds. So for example, right now I am doing about 90 kilometers an hour on a highway, and the electric motor has not taken over, even though I've been very consistent at that speed. Like I said, it's a really small motor and it's a really big truck. And at highway speeds, it has to counteract the effects of wind resistance and road resistance, or tire resistance. The engine recharges the battery majority of the time, but it can also be recharged a bit by the brakes. There isn't a noticeable change in the brake pedal feel when transitioning from regen braking to the brake discs, which is good. But the truck has quite soft suspension, which induces quite a bit of nosedive under hard braking situations. Paired with this powertrain is a 10-speed automatic transmission, and for the most part, the shifts are very smooth and quick enough. I say for the most part because it has some weird characteristics, which turns out they're actually normal. A little bit odd that they're normal, but hey, I looked it up on a few forums and a lot of owners say that it happens to their trucks as well. And what I'm talking about is when accelerating from a stop or decelerating to a stop. There's a row of numbers just underneath the tachometer, and that's to tell you what gear you're in. And I've noticed that when accelerating from a stop, just normal acceleration, nothing heavy, it goes from first to third. It completely skips second gear. And it's the same thing when you're slowing down. So it goes 5, 4, 3, 1. It completely skips second. The only time I noticed it actually going into second gear is when you're in sport mode or when you're in tow haul mode. Other than that, under normal driving conditions, it'll continue to skip second gear. And the shift between first to third or third to first is actually quite rough. So I'm not sure why Ford's engineers programmed the transmission to be like this, because the rest of the gear shifts are very smooth. In fact, you won't even notice the shifts. But from first to third or third to first, you really notice that shift. Taking the Ford F-150 around a few corners feels like you're almost like in a boat. So the suspension is a little on the soft side, actually quite a bit on the soft side. So when you're really throwing the truck through corners, there's a lot of body roll. It has enough grip for a pickup truck, but it just feels very unsettling. There are a couple of off-road drive mode settings should you want to take the Ford F-150 off the beaten path, and there's a locking rear differential that is standard on the hybrid powertrain. Inside this new F-150 PowerBoost Hybrid, it's business as usual with this crew cab because there is plenty of space regardless whether you sit in the front or in the back. Up in the front, legroom and headroom for someone of my height at 6'4" is plentiful. These seats are unfortunately not the ones where you can recline all the way back, make them fold completely flat and sleep in them, but they are still very comfortable. Right now this seat is in my driving position, so here in the back, plenty of legroom. There isn't quite as much legroom in the back here, on paper at least, compared to the Ram 1500. That one still has more, but this F-150 has more legroom and headroom than the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra. Almost forgot those names for some reason. Anyway, these seats, they do lift up. And there's a little box in here that you can raise and lower to store smaller items. And you can also lock this box as well, so you can store valuables in here. The seats are heated, but unfortunately they're not ventilated like how you can get in the Ram 1500. And they don't recline like, again, how you can get in the Ram 1500. But plenty of space, and this is actually a really nice place to be in. As for when driving the Ford F-150 Hybrid, it is as quiet as a luxury sedan when it's being propelled by electricity and at city driving speeds. On highways, you notice a bit more road and wind noise, but it's nothing to get worked up about. One thing to note if you do a lot of highway driving, the soft suspension, when unloaded, tends to make the truck feel a bit floaty at times. But other than that, the suspension does a great job of isolating bumps from intruding into the cabin. When it comes to capability, it has plenty of it. It is a pickup truck after all, so what do you expect? In terms of towing, with this hybrid engine, it can tow between 11,000 and 12,700 pounds, depending if it's 4x4 or 4x2, and the equipment that you have on your F-150. And it's the same story with payload. Maximum is just over 2,000 pounds, depending on your equipment and trim level. Around the back, it has a light right here that shines down for your trailer hookup at night. There's bed lighting up there, as well as LEDs on either side to really illuminate the bed. It also has something called zone lighting, so it turns on different lights all around the pickup truck. Here in the back, it'll actually use the reverse lights. On the side, there's LED lights in the mirrors, and in the front it'll use the headlights. As for this tailgate, it is now a power tailgate, but it's not just power down, it also goes power up. So you can use it by pressing the button right here, but it's a little bit of a stretch. Or you can use the remote, just double tap it and it'll go back up. There's also a button inside that'll lower and raise the tailgate, or you can just raise it halfway and then it'll just keep going up. Of course, this being a Ford, it has the tailgate step. However, I personally still like GMC's multi-pearl tailgate a little bit more. It just offers a bit more versatility, and I feel a little bit more comfortable with that tailgate step than I do with this one. But other features on this new tailgate include holes here to put clamps if you want to clamp down some 2x4s or whatever it may be. There's a ruler built right into the tailgate, cup holder, pencil holders, and cell phone holders or small tablets. The big change to the F-150 with the hybrid powertrain is the addition of the onboard power system. You can get it as a 2.4 kilowatt or a 7.2 kilowatt. The first allows for two 120 volt power outlets, while the latter has a 240 volts 30 amp outlet and four 120 volt outlets. So not only can you power a few tools, but also something as big as a welder. This particular demo vehicle is not a top trim. It's actually the Lariat, so it's a more mid-level trim. But the great thing about Fords is that even on this mid-level trim, you can get quite a lot of features on it. So for example, it has the optional 12-inch touchscreen with Sync 4 infotainment system. The infotainment is really quick to respond and very beautiful to look at. The graphics are crisp and clear. My only minor complaint about it though is with the wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. I use wireless Android Auto and for the most part it does work. But sometimes I get these error messages saying that it can't connect to my phone. And then when I check my phone, it's saying that I should check the infotainment system. So it's kind of like two government parties who continuously blame each other for something that they should be working together to achieve. Weird analogy aside though, it works most of the time, but it's just a little annoying that sometimes it doesn't work for whatever reason. Other gadgets that can be equipped to the Ford F-150 include the usual stuff like heated and ventilated front seats, heated rear seats, panoramic sunroof, wireless phone charging, surround view cameras, trailer backup assist, intelligent adaptive cruise control, lane keeping system, and so on. And I'm sure that by now most of you have seen the trick with this shifter. If not, here it is. You just push this button down here, it goes down, and then you flip up the center console and you have a table. But my question is, why did Ford go through all this trouble to develop this when they have a rotary knob like in the Ford Explorer and they can just fit it somewhere on the dashboard? Or better yet, there's quite a lot of real estate here, so I don't know, maybe a column shifter? Just a thought. I mean, I can't help but think that maybe after a while this is gonna fail in some way. As for how this new truck looks, it's not that drastically different from the previous generation. The LED daytime running lights extend into the bumper and encompass the new square LED headlights. There is now a side vent, although you can't really tell if it's real or fake, but it looks real enough. Oh, and those optional power steps deploy as you walk up to the truck, not just when you open the door like other pickup trucks. And around the back, this particular demo has clear LED taillights. On other trims, they can be red halogens. So in the end, I really like this new generation of the Ford F-150, in particular with this PowerBoost hybrid system. And like I said in the video, the great thing is you can get this powertrain on any trim level so long as it's with the crew cab configuration. But of course, there is a price to pay for it. However, that price varies depending on which trim of the F-150 you go for. So for example, the PowerBoost Hybrid powertrain costs $2,500 Canadian if it's equipped onto the top trim level of the F-150. However, that price increases as you go lower down in the trim levels. So lower trim levels, it's going to cost you quite a bit more for this hybrid powertrain. But I guess it's a small price to pay. I mean, I would definitely consider it because it's much more powerful. It's, like I said, the most powerful apart from the Raptor engine, and it's very fuel efficient. So if I were looking at an F-150, I would really consider the hybrid powertrain. But if you want to know more about this Ford F-150 PowerBoost Hybrid, I wrote a more detailed review of it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck, or I think it'll be an SUV next time. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.